What is up, guys? Welcome to this video. In this one, I'm going to be telling you how to raise your vibe by removing and letting go of what doesn't serve you. This is actually a rather simple thing, but what I see in a lot of those classic sort of spiritual communities is a lot of sort of endless positive affirmations and this very indirect approach to what is actually happening at the core of you. Now, this video is going to be deeply centered around the body, and you have to keep this in mind throughout the video because I'm coming at it from this body-oriented perspective. I got a bit of a sheet right here. Now, in order to let go of what doesn't serve you, you have to be aware that you are storing this stuff. You're holding on to it, okay? That's what it implies. You're actually holding on to this stuff. And you have to become aware that this is in your body. I have some fantastic books I can recommend. One is called Trauma and the Unbound Body by Judith Blackstone, and the other one is The Body Keeps the Score. And these books are fantastic for a bit of an introduction to this kind of stuff. But you actually have to realize that all of these things that don't serve you are being stored as polarizing emotions in the body. And there's a lot of impulsivity around these sort of polarizing and charged sensations. What I mean by a charged sensation is like anger, for example, something that gets you to act unconsciously, or even pain, for example. But I'll stick with emotions for now. Any sort of thing that gets you to just have some kind of knee-jerk reaction, like you start feeling sad, so you run to the fridge for ice cream, you're kind of suffering, you're suffering a bit, so you want to distract yourself impulsively. This is the kind of stuff you actually have to watch out for. So I have a note right here. Witnessing cognitive and emotional attachment and identify these as impulses in the body. So whenever there's something that you're trying to let go of that you can't seem to let go of, and it's a pattern, you have to identify it in your body because that's where it is. You can feel the emotion, and you can feel there's a pattern. Like, let's say, I don't know, you're sad about something. You can feel it in a specific part of your body continuously because you've actually stored it in a very specific part of your body. Notice, like, for example, when you get scared, your gut really starts to clench, for example. A lot of our existential fear is really stored just in our gut. There's a sort of clench and a hold that takes place. So you have to continuously bring your attention to these bodily patterns, these emotional patterns, these sort of energetic patterns that are storing themselves in the body, and release them over and over and over and over again. You're not going to positive affirmation your sort of emotional issues away. You're not going to sound bath your emotional issues away. You're not going to law of attraction them away. You're continuously holding on to them, and you actually have to have the intention to sort of dig down into the roots of your own shit, because that's what it is. Now, moving on, create the intention to witness, question, and explore whatever emotion arises that you don't want to create anymore. So what does this mean by witness? You have to get in touch with the part of you right now that is aware. What part of you right now is aware, and you don't even have to think about it like, oh, I'm aware. Find the part of you that exists prior to a thought of yourself. Just pure awareness without content. And bring that into the body. Notice it's right here. It's right here, this moment. Bring that into your body. Feel your knee. Feel your foot. Feel your chest. Bring awareness into there. And notice that you are holding yourself. Notice you were holding yourself in very specific positions for safety. You wanted to hold on to these sort of emotional impulses because you've, at one point in your life, found a sense of safety and security in them. Notice that there's tension in areas. That's the holding. Now you have to create the intention to witness this happening and release it. You have to also question and explore whatever emotion arises that you don't want to create anymore. So when you're getting angry at someone, you have to question, how am I creating this anger? What beliefs do I have that create this anger? What do I think should and shouldn't happen? I believe this person shouldn't act this way, so now I'm angry at them because I don't want them to act that way. I want them to act the way that I want them to act. It's a manipulation. Notice that you have certain ways of behaving, relating, and beliefs that create the emotion. These are things you're doing. And when you're creating a lot of emotions, most of the time you're doing it unconsciously. You don't really know how you're even doing it. And most of the time you're probably not very in touch with your body and your feelings. That's why it's always so goddamn tense in your body. Now, moving on. I'll go back one more second. You have to do this over and over again. There's no real easy way out. You have to witness the emotions. You have to witness what's happening in your body, where you're storing things. You have to question why this is the case, okay? Don't get lost in too many thoughts. Remain with the experience. Remain with the physical sensations and really ask the question, how am I creating this? Don't have the need to fill up your mind with the first thought that comes your way. Just stay with the sensations. How am I creating this? And stay with it. And you might have a spontaneous insight. Good. Now generate a few more. Just stay with the physical sensations, the raw emotions, with the direct experience. And explore whatever emotion arises. Actually have the guts to explore what arises instead of running away from it, because you run away from yourself quite a lot. An emotion arises you don't like, you distract yourself from it. You bounce. You bounce really quick. Now moving on, question how you are creating this experience through your beliefs. Most of the things that block us are things we are creating. It's very rarely going to be some sort of external force that we're just screwed by. Okay, like I can't, feel happy because this person is doing this. That's nonsense. You can feel fantastic right now. You just don't know how to actually handle emotions. And you have so many emotions that are just deeply stored in like pockets of your body. Really strange pockets you aren't even really aware of. And you cannot get them out. You don't know how. You have trouble opening yourself up to this moment and just allowing yourself to be happy right now. This is a very challenging thing for people because when we were very young, the world was very scary and mysterious. And inevitably, children get emotionally wounded. They don't know how to handle their emotions. They tense up and they store their emotions. And unless you actually go through that, you really consciously go through this stuff, it's all still there. All that childhood stuff is still there. It's just sort of under the surface. It doesn't go anywhere. That childhood self, all the positive and the negative aspects, the things you like and the things you don't like, that doesn't go anywhere for as long as you continuously store it inside of you and for the longer that you remain unconscious of it. So you have basically a bag of shit that you have to be kind of sorting through in order to actually uproot a lot of these emotional habits. For example, a lot of our fear probably being the biggest one for basically everyone, is really lodged in there. We actually walk around with an underlying sense of existential terror, and this manifests in a lot of very subtle ways. Like we're anxious, so we go into our thoughts about stories and we're trying to predict what's going to happen so we can be safe. Or we're holding tension in our body. Even anger. We have way too many ways of protecting ourselves, of repressing aspects of our psyche, repressing aspects of our emotions, ignoring ourselves, ignoring our actual vulnerability. We have way too many very strange defensive patterns, and strange as in almost pointless. Like right now, you can examine your body, and there's probably some tension in some areas. And there's no real need to be tense. And if you really explore the tension, there was probably a sense of, just constrictedness, anxiety, maybe a bit of worry, just fear of some kind of anger. And it was just there. And it was just kind of hanging out. It's just kind of hanging out. This is all a sign of that underlying crap, because about 90 to maybe 95% of our emotional life we don't have access to in our sort of everyday walking to the grocery store consciousness. You have to really create a lot of time for yourself to go through this, read the proper books, book time off, and really do inquiry. Go maybe see a psychotherapist. That's fantastic. You have to really put in a lot of effort for that. It's not just going to sort of magically go away and then you're okay. It's never happened like that. You've never just done something and then it all magically went away. Anytime you've actually made some kind of growth in your life, I guarantee you, you were facing some aspect of your own bullshit. Whether you were too scared to go talk to people and make friends, you had to face that part of yourself that was totally full of crap and was saying all sorts of strange stories like, like you can't do it, this is a terrible idea, this is a waste of time. Or even if you've made any kind of emotional breakthrough in your life, you always had to go through some part of yourself that was attempting to protect you in some way. It's not that it's like a bad thing, but it was kind of just a lot of your own deception and a lot of the dysfunctional habits that you have and really the holding on to these habits. So the way to let go of things that don't serve you is by identifying that you are holding on to them and that they're actually impulses in the body. They're emotions that get stored in the body that you presently are unconscious of. So you should definitely read Trauma and the Unbound Body by Judith Blackstone, The Subtle Self, and The Enlightenment Process by Judith Blackstone, and even The Body Keeps the Score. Those are fantastic books. They'll really help you out. So you have to become aware that you're holding them in your body. Okay? You have to actually examine the beliefs you have that are creating this. You have to examine the ways of relating that are creating this. You're creating this. Okay? Other than that, if you guys have any other questions or any questions, comment. But other than that, peace out.